In this demonstration, we will learn how to create a multi-test in BlazeMeter. Multi-test is used for distributed load testing. It synchronizes and aggregates the results from several test sessions into a single aggregated report. Note that you cannot run a multi-test if you have a trial account with BlazeMeter. I'm going to go ahead and first log in into the BlazeMeter application. I'm now going to go ahead and create a new JMeter test and start by doing a sum load configuration. I'm going to first set the number of engines to 1 and the number of threads to 20. The engines will simulate the number of threads of virtual users specified in the script that we're going to provide to this test, while the number of threads is going to be the maximum number of users that we want to run the load test for. I'm going to set the ramp up time to a default of 300. This is the time duration in milliseconds it will take, in seconds it will take to ramp up to total number of threads requested. And I'm going to set the originate load from to EU West Island. And upload a JMeter script from my local system to this test. I'm going to give this test a name and go ahead and save it off. Now with the JMeter test created, let's go ahead and quickly create another test. This time it's going to be a URL API test. And I'm going to go ahead and give this test a name. And create an endpoint to test against. To do the load configuration, I'm going to set the originate load from to US West. And I'm going to set my engines to 1 and threads to 5 and my ramp up to 400. I will also modify the duration and set it to a value of 10. Duration will define the maximum time for which the test is going to run. With this done, I'm going to go ahead and save this test. And I'm going to quickly create another JMeter test to add to the multi-test. As you can see, I've created another JMeter test called JMeter test 2. And I've uploaded the JMeter script to it, and I've done some load configuration settings for it. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now that all of my tests are configured, I'm going to go back into my project and I'm going to look at all the list of test cases that I've created. And I'm going to add all of them into my multi-test. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and create a new test, and this time it's going to be a multi-test. And I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop my test cases to it. All right, so this is done. So I'm going to give this multi-test a name. And I do want to show you here that I can, in fact, edit an original test case that I've added to the multi-test. I'm going to give you an example of that. So I'm going to edit the JMeter test 2 by using this option, Edit Original Test. And for instance, I'm going to modify the load originated from to US East. And maybe I'll set my threads to 25 and then save this test case. Right, so the change will now be incorporated into your multi-test. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a CSV data set for this multi-test. This will be a unique data set per engine per test. I'm going to upload the data file from my local system. And save the test. Let's run this test now. An important setting once the test is initiated is the synchronize start option that you see here. Selecting the synchronize start makes sure that all the servers are up before each of the tests that you see in this list is started. This option helps in synchronizing the servers that are significantly slower when compared to other servers that your test is running against. Let's go ahead and launch servers now. While the servers are getting ready, it's also good to note that each individual JMeter test and API URL test that we've added is going to get its own session ID. Let's go ahead and start the test now. Once the multi-test starts, you can observe different types of reports across tabs. And there would be metrics like average throughput time, average response time, errors, average bandwidth, maximum virtual users. The virtual users will continue to ramp up for the next 300 seconds as per our setting before it reaches the maximum users configured to run the load test. We did set different duration values for each of our individual tests. So you will see the ramp up time for different test cases. Once the test has completed, an aggregated report that contains the complete data for all the test runs will be generated and sent to the registered email addresses associated with your account in BlazeMeter. We will wait for the test to complete. Once the test has completed, this is what your aggregated executive summary report will look like. It will show you the aggregated top 5 slow responses, errors, timeline graphs for concurrent users and hits, as well as concurrent users and response times, as well as an aggregated report for each of your tests. This completes the demonstration on multi-test. Thank you for watching.